Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. His commies won a playoff game over my Buccaneers, and you can't teach that. Bada boom. Man, the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, congratulations.
Thank you, Tanner. That was the Ride the Line Bowl. For people who don't know, Bucks Commanders, always fun. It was good, Tanner. It was a fun game. It was a fun weekend. This is the first time the Commanders have won a playoff game since 2005. I was either 7 or about to turn 7 years old when that happened, and I'll be honest, I don't remember it. So essentially, I just saw my team win the first playoff game of my lifetime, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was one that the entire time the Buccaneers could not get Commanders off the field, and that was the ultimate downfall for the Bucs. And that late fumble obviously didn't help them out either. But just a tough game for the Bucs defense, really good game for Jayden Daniels, and now you get to go see the Lions in a week, so that should be fun.
So I want to ask you a question straight up, right off the bat here, and this is all you. I don't want you to I don't want you to either mess with me or build me up. I want your honest opinion, because I'm a Commanders fan. As much as it is my duty to remove my bias as much as I can, that's never truly possible. Top 4: Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen. Put them in whatever order you want.
Mahomes.
Where's Jayden after that?
You want me to order? Do you want me to order them?
No. I'm saying that's the top 4. They're universally recognized. Don't even worry about them. Where's Jayden in the rest of the line?
So my fear here too, and I know we can rank quarterbacks and tier them and all that stuff, but CJ Stroud last season, we were saying he's a top 5 quarterback. This season, we're not saying he's close. So I think we need to see a bigger body of work before we even include the rookies into this, because now teams in a year are going to have more film on Jayden Daniels. They're going to have a whole offseason preparing how to stop him. And we saw that with CJ Stroud, how it didn't necessarily work out well this season. I think Stroud's going to be a great quarterback, but at the same time too, in his rookie season, he came on scene by storm. Same thing with Jayden Daniels. If I'm looking right now at top, how they played this season, obviously Jayden Daniels is right up there. He's a Pro Bowler, so he's got to be in. It doesn't necessarily mean much with Sam Darnold making the Pro Bowl based on the past 2 weeks. But let me pull it up.
I mean, if we are doing only this season, if aliens came down to Earth in September and they had no idea what happened before, Jayden had a better season than Patrick Mahomes did.
He did, but a lot of quarterbacks had better seasons than Patrick Mahomes, like this season. So if we go through the AFC East, Buffalo, Miami.
Baker did too, for the record.
Baker should have made the Pro Bowl 100%. He should have made the Pro Bowl. I don't care who you put him in over. I think Baker should have made the Pro Bowl. And Sam Darnold the past 2 weeks has looked horrendous, so it's hard to get that vision out of my head. But if you look at the AFC East, he's better than every quarterback there besides Josh Allen. AFC North, he's better than 2 of the quarterbacks there. Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee, better than every quarterback in the AFC South. In the AFC West, I like what Bo Nix did, better than every quarterback there, though, except Mahomes. NFC West, I'd probably put Stafford over him. I'd put Stafford over him for sure. I can't put Purdy over him, but obviously Purdy's got a little bigger workload, and he's also got better talent around him. So I would put Stafford over him for sure. Baker, I'm not going to put Baker over him, but he's pretty, just the body of work that the two have. I think you can make an argument for Baker being right around him. NFC North-wise, I'd probably put Goff over him right now. Again, bigger body of work. Jordan Love,
No, I'm tired of people putting Jordan Love so high in these conversations.
No, yeah, Jordan Love, I don't know. Yeah, just because he got paid, he had a good season, got paid. I can't seem to say that after this year. And then in the NFC East, I'm probably putting Jalen Hurts over him right now. So there's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I'm probably putting over. And that's just because he's got one season, and we've seen what CJ Stroud did last year to this year. So that does scare me a little bit.
I'm ready to roll out a new take on Jared Goff specifically.
Okay.
I think Jared Goff is entering Brock Purdy conversations. I think Jared Goff is better than Brock Purdy. Don't get me wrong. But I think because everything around Jared Goff is excellent. Excellent running back, excellent offensive line, excellent receivers, excellent coach, excellent coordinator. Yeah, always gets to play in a dome every week. I think we are overvaluing how good he actually is.
We might be, but you can only judge somebody off their environment and like their situation. He has a great situation, but I can find a million college quarterbacks that are probably better than the top 5 college. Not better, but like if you stuck a kid from a low level FBS school who might be absolute money into an Alabama or a Georgia, they're going to play better than with their 2-star recruits.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of looking ahead to the championship game, the Super Bowl. When we get there, like, think about it. Last year in the Super Bowl, like Purdy didn't play bad, but when there was a time to make a play, it was Mahomes who was doing it in the Super Bowl. And I just think I still feel like you'll see that with Jared Goff.
But when it's time to make a play, I do trust Jared Goff to make the play because he has the talent around him. And I also think, like with Purdy's better than all these quarterbacks when you rank them off where they started to where they are now. I mean, Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant to taking a team to the Super Bowl in his first few seasons in the NFL. Wasn't even expected to make the team, and now he's where he's at. So, like, every quarterback has a different story. I was having this debate with somebody yesterday, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Is Mahomes better than Tom Brady? Yeah, he's better than Tom Brady. Will he ever have as good of a story as Tom Brady? Hell no. He could win an extra ring over Tom Brady. It's still not going to be the same story as going from the guy who was the low round pick who barely made the Patriots to becoming the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Like, that story is never going to be the Mahomes story because it's a first round draft pick. So I think we kind of have to judge everybody a little differently based off where they started to where they are now. But just in terms of like pure talent, yeah, I probably would take a few quarterbacks over Jared Goff.
Well, based on the sentiment of that, judging people by where they started, judging people by where they are right now, Sam Darnold last night, Tanner, didn't look the best.
He's terrible. And he cost himself a lot of money the past 2 weeks. He's not a big game player. Like that's what it revealed to me. He's a good bridge quarterback. He's probably a high-end backup. Is he better quarterback starting-wise than some quarterbacks in the league? Yeah. Is he a top 32 quarterback? I'd say so. I mean, based on how he plays, a Pro Bowler, but you're judged off how you play in big games. Like I saw a stat on Mike Tomlin, and this is just because the Steelers always win football games. Mike Tomlin is the first coach and first team in NFL history to have 8 straight winning seasons and not win a playoff game in that time. Like, there's only a few teams that have 8 straight winning seasons, but you're judged off what you do in the playoffs. He's not getting it done there. So you could make the case for Sam Darnold, like these 2 games were his biggest audition and he couldn't do it.
I know we're about to dive into this game, but you want to do the plugs first?
Yes. Follow the page, ride the line. We're growing. Like we are growing like crazy right now. College football. People weren't happy with me saying Ohio State wasn't going to win national championship. It was a little clickbaity, people. But Ohio State, Notre Dame, we got a lot of content coming for that. We got a lot of NFL playoff content. We'll move into the NBA. We'll talk about the Celtics, how they're going to win another championship, even though they're not playing great right now. Yeah, Grant, they're going to win another championship. I saw a good take. We'll get to it after I plug this. But Ride the Line, make sure you check it out. Grant, tell them why they need to check out WSN.com.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are into sports betting in any shape or fashion, you like the NBA, the NFL, MLB, even though it's not in season, NHL, soccer, MMA, whatever it is, WSN.com, the World Sports Network, Tanner, myself, of team of experts. We are writing previews of games. We're giving you analysis. We're sharing our favorite picks. We got sportsbook promo codes. We got contests where you can win some real cash. Everything you could possibly want, WSN.com. You will find it right there.
All right, Grant, real quick on the Celtics. Real quick, because we're not talking basketball today. They've played their worst basketball possible for them. They still have the 3rd best record in the NBA. And on top of that, every team, the night that they get to play the Celtics is their Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And the Celtics don't care about January basketball.
So the point you're making is don't worry about where they're at right now. They'll be better in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they still have the 3rd best record in the NBA. And it's like the storms are coming down on them. Like the world is ending.
So to be fair, if I were to pick a favorite, I would still pick the Celtics. We cannot discount what the Cavs are doing and what the Thunder are doing. It's remarkable. The Thunder specifically, even though the Cavs have been better, the Cavs have the better record and they're great. But watching the Thunder, the defense they're playing is unlike anything I can remember seeing. As far as it's not a team of Tony Allen's and Ben Wallace's and guys who only play defense and that's it. Shea could win MVP. He's averaging 32 points a game. Jalen Williams averaging 20. This is without their second best player, Chet Holmgren. They are legitimately locking dudes up. When they played the Celtics, I don't know if you saw this or if you watched that game, the Celtics scored 27 points in the entire second half. It's remarkable how good they are on defense.
No, let's just get Celtics to the championship. Anything can happen. And I do think the Celtics beat the Cavs in a 7-game series, probably go 7 games, and it would be back in Cleveland. But I don't know. I still feel good about the Celtics. I feel good. I mean, the Cavs for being plus 750 with the Celtics being, plus 200 right now. I think the Cavs are probably a better bet, obviously. But the fact that we got like Celtics plus 200 and OKC at the plus 300, plus 270, whatever it is now, that's still like, bookmakers we got a collision course, OKC Boston coming up.
We do also have a rematch next couple of days or so of Thunder Cavs, which we got last week. And that matchup was only the second time in NBA history 2 teams that started 30-5 or better played each other. So this will be the third time now, the second between these two.
Yep. All right, Grant. So let's talk about Sam Darnold. He's trash. He's not. It's hard to get behind Sam Darnold because, again, he put together a great season. He came out of nowhere. But 2 weeks ago, we're talking about the Vikings should trade J.J. McCarthy. Now we're saying there is no chance in hell the Vikings are going to trade J.J. McCarthy. I think if you're the Minnesota Vikings, it's time for the rebuild. It's time to get rid of Sam. It's time to go with JJ and see what you can do with him. I don't know how good JJ McCarthy is going to be because people call him a game manager at Michigan. Now he takes the season off. But you got to go with the guy that you drafted based on the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, so coming into this game, my thought for the Vikings was you franchise tag Darnold, take the hit. I think it's $40 million. And then basically you can get another season to determine, is he the guy? Is JJ the guy? And also it will allow you to give JJ, when you're a rookie and that year on the bench is spent actually in the trainer room and you're rehabbing an injury, it's not the same effect. It's not the Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love transition. It's not the Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. So you're still playing from behind. So this would actually give you JJ McCarthy a full year to really be involved in game planning, actually practicing instead of rehabbing, and then you could give him the starting job. This last game, I think you have to determine what you saw from JJ during your pre-draft scouting process. You got a whole off season with him. I believe he played in a preseason game or 2. I feel like you got to go back and look at that because Sam Darnold, $40 million for a quarterback is not much. That's what Daniel Jones is getting. And funny enough, he's on this roster too. But if it's $40 million and these are the performances you're going to get in high leverage games, then it doesn't matter. Lions at the end of the season to determine the 1 seed completes 44% of his passes, 166 yards, no touchdowns, no turnovers, but a QBR of 17. Then in this game, 25 of 40, 245, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and an NFL record 82 yards lost in sacks. That's another turnover in my eyes because you basically went the whole length of the football field for the other team and a QBR of 14. So really, as soon as expectations were there, the Vikings were able to go this whole season flying under the radar. There's the meme of Tiger Woods and John Daly out on the golf course. And, one's like Tiger's dressed like all official. And it's like, this is the Lions in their official Super Bowl season. And then you've got John Daly smoking a cigar. And it's like, that's the Vikings messing around with Sam Darnold. As soon as the pressure was on, he crumbled. And he can still have a solid career. Like you said, he's better than Gardner Minshew. He's better than Will Levis. Some of these quarterbacks out there, he is better than. But if you're a team that's 14-3, he's not the guy for you.
No, he's a bridge quarterback, and you know what? I'm gonna pull up something right here. Sam Darnold is winning. I know he cost himself a couple $100 million, probably $100 million, the way he's played the past few weeks. But Sam Darnold's career earnings right now $65 million, and he's had one good season. So like he's winning. Like he's changed the narrative on himself a little bit, a significant amount from where he was with the New York Jets to now. I mean, he's gotten much better. Obviously, the past two games are what we remember of him. But I no longer think of Sam Darnold as the guy that can't play football. I think of him as a low-end starting quarterback, bridge quarterback in the NFL, which is a huge upgrade on where he was. In this game, too, I mean, Sam Darnold wasn't necessarily great, but when you get sacked 9 times, there were times where he held on to the ball too long. There were times where he had no time. They have 2 turnovers. It's a night where like the Rams didn't necessarily outplay you on offense. Stafford 19 of 27, 209, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams ran for 76 yards on 16 carries. It was a game where the Vikings defense got lit up quickly. It was a game where the Rams defense lit up the Vikings quickly, and there was just no getting out of that hole. It was like too quick, not enough time to recover kind of thing. So it was a game where the Vikings never really had a chance, but there were little things that you can fix in this game probably to make it a lot closer than 27-9.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was the Vikings tried to run the ball and they couldn't, and the Rams were still bringing pressure there. They were getting Darnold on the ground. And then once the Vikings were down 14-3, 17-3, well, they had to start throwing, so there was no threat of running the ball. And the Rams weren't even really trying to disguise much. Like, yeah, they were bringing pressure from different angles and stuff, but you knew pressure was coming. There was no change in the game plan. There's the meme of the Joker where he's like, I know a squealer when I see one. And it was like that with Aaron Glenn last week. They blitzed Sam Darnold on 60% of plays, said beat us in man coverage down the field if you can. And the Rams are doing the same thing this week. We're coming after him. We're going to see what he can do. If he beats us, then we'll change. And he never did. And the biggest problem that I had was, I agree, the line played him into some of these sacks, but Sam Darnold also was not throwing the ball away. And when he was scrambling, he was running in a straight line backwards. That's the biggest no-no for a quarterback. If you're going to escape, you either do it by stepping up through the pocket or you roll out to the side. Nothing good happens when you run straight backwards. And that's how you end up with 82 yards lost to sacks, an NFL record.
Yeah, definitely. So, Grant, this brings us to the next question here. We got Eagles-Rams next week. Matthew Stafford, stud in the playoffs, 5-1 record. I believe 15 total touchdowns.
I don't have that stat, so that's on you.
15 total touchdowns. I saw it's a lot of total touchdowns. 5-1 record. The man is a beast in the playoffs. You probably have the best, not the best coach, I will say, but I would put him top 2. I'd put him right behind Andy Reid, honestly.
Yep, I would too.
I would say he's top 2 coach, Sean McVay, coming into the division round of the playoffs. Rams right now currently a 5.5-point dog on the road. That was about the same as the Green Bay Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Does Philly take care of business? Should they be afraid of Matthew Stafford? Grant, what's your take in this game?
They should absolutely be afraid of Matthew Stafford. Going back to at the start when you said you would put Matthew Stafford ahead of Jayden Daniels, if you only saw this year, you would put Jayden ahead of him. As of the last 4 or 5 seasons, if you only saw Stafford's regular seasons, you would put Jayden ahead of him. But Stafford is at that age now where, first of all, he gets better as the season goes on. Last year, I think the Rams won 7 of their last 8. This year, they won 10 of their last 12. A few years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, it was the same sort of thing. He's turned it on at the end of the season. He's as experienced a quarterback you're going to find in the NFL, won a Super Bowl, and he's been great in the playoffs. So him being hot, not amazing statistics, not an amazing box score from this Vikings game, but he played very well. So if you're going to Philadelphia, he's not going to be rattled by the road environment. He's not going to see anything that he hasn't seen in his career. If the Rams come out and they score a touchdown on that opening drive, you've got a problem with your Philly. Because Philly, what they were able to do, and I'm going to tie this back into where it went wrong for the Vikings. When Philly beat the Rams, that's when Saquon had the career high, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran all over them. If they cannot establish the run early, and they should, because they're probably the best running team in the NFL, probably number 2, Baltimore's number 1. If they can't establish the run early, We saw what happened when the Vikings couldn't establish. The Rams defenders could pin their ears back. They could get after the quarterback. And with Jalen Hurts having missed the 2.5 weeks with the concussion and then coming back and looking the way he did, we can't comfortably say we know what we're getting from the Eagles quarterback spot. The Eagles could have the worst quarterback left in the playoffs in this moment. Not saying Jalen is the worst, but Jalen, after 2.5 weeks of a concussion, coming off of a bad game, it's possible that he plays the worst quarterback game of any quarterback left in the playoffs. So I think it's crucial for Philly to establish the run early, try to slow Stafford down on that first drive, and make it a game. Don't make this a shootout.
And we're going to have our full playoff picks on Thursday here, but looking at the Eagles against the Rams, I mean, the Eagles are the better team overall. They have a much better defense. They have a really good run game. They have a passing game when they need to find it. But this Rams team's playing really well right now. 5.5 seems like a lot of points, but it could be a game where the Eagles just take it over on the ground. And at that point, they have no chance of losing to the Rams if they find that big run game with Saquon Barkley and the defense is playing as we have seen them play to their standard this season. So full playoff picks on Thursday, though, Grant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cowboys, Mike McCarthy. Okay, let me set the record straight here with this whole Cowboys talk. There's people online. I posted a video the other day, and I said Mike McCarthy was fired, and people came in, well, he wasn't fired. All right. If Mike McCarthy is not brought back after the contract ends, I'm going to call that being fired.
He was let go.
He was let go, whatever. They couldn't agree on terms of a contract. Maybe Jerry wanted to bring him on a 1-year deal. I don't know what the situation was. But if you're not putting everything after your coach to get him back in the building, he was let go. That's my take. So we fast forward or, rewind back a week. Jerry Jones restricted Mike McCarthy for interviewing from the Bears job. That looks bad now because he was fired. Make no mistake about it. This man was fired. He was not brought back. So with that being said, I think that's a dick move on Jerry Jones's part. What do you think about this, Grant?
It's a classless organization. It really is. They try their hardest not to pay their guys. They always draw it out as long as they can. It ends up costing them because you were going to pay Dak. You were going to pay CD. But you drew it out. You tried to play all these games with the media. Cooper Rush could make an extra like $500,000, whatever it was, if he played 55% of snaps. He was at 52% going into the final week. They don't play him. They play Trey Lance that they don't have to pay him the money. Like you said, they deny Mike McCarthy the opportunity to interview for the Bears job. Then they don't re-sign him. So again, not firing maybe, but letting him go. They just do. They step on their own feet. They make themselves look bad, and they don't help anybody out, not even themselves. It's worse for their players. It's worse for their fans. It's worse for them. I've got to say, Cowboys fans are usually the most delusional sports fans in the world. I've talked to some Cowboys fans recently, and they are spot on. They are fed up with the games that Jerry Jones is playing. They look at him as the source of all of their problems, the roster decision-making, the personnel decision-making. Jerry and Stephen Jones, the guys running the show, they always do the wrong thing, it feels like. And I think they're at that point where they know things are going wrong, so they're trying even harder. Like, oh, we're going to play these mind games. We're not going to pay Dak until the morning of the first game of the season. And they're trying so hard and that they're bad at what they do, and so it ends up just making it even worse.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And people who say, well, he wasn't let go or he wasn't fired, they mutually agreed to part ways. It still looks bad. I don't care what the deal is, because if you're restricting him from interviewing for the Bears job, in my mind, Jerry Jones is going to get him back in the building somehow.
That means you have to bring him back.
Yeah. And it's like people, oh, well, he can interview now. Well, that's not the point. Like, these teams had their major selection process, and coaches are still coaching. So you have your Zoom interviews. You don't have your in-person interviews yet. But these coaches laid out the target offers when Mike McCarthy or target candidates. When Mike McCarthy was restricted from interviewing for that job, I'm sure teams kind of took him off the board. And now they got to re-add him, see where he stacks in. Does Mike McCarthy have a head coaching job next year, Grant?
Well, so I do have some betting odds for where Mike McCarthy will be week 1 of next season. No coaching is not an option. It would be like a voided bet. So we've got plus 150 for the Saints, plus 180 for the Bears, plus 400 for the Jags, plus 450 for the Jets, plus 500 for the Raiders. So a lot of juice on those lines, but in order of likelihood, Saints, Bears, Jags, Jets, Raiders.
I'd like to see Mike McCarthy with the Raiders. I think that'd be pretty cool.
You think Tom Brady is a Mike McCarthy guy?
There's no reason not to be. All the guy's done is win, you know?
Yeah, I was having that conversation with somebody, actually another Cowboys fan, and we're going to transition here to talking about Deion, so we might as well do it now. He was excited that Deion Sanders was leading in odds to get the job, and that there was a conversation between Jerry and Deion, and he said, I want someone who will bring discipline. And I said, I understand maybe wanting to change because you feel like things have gotten stale. Mike McCarthy won 12 straight games 3 seasons in a row. Nobody, not even the Kansas City Chiefs, do that. Say what you want about the guy. To consider he won a Super Bowl with his last team, new team, 3 straight 12-win seasons. You have to be a good coach. You might not be the best, but you have to be good. Winning is a coaching stat. So if you're consistently winning, it means you have a good coach.
Yeah, and they play in a tough division too. I'm not saying the Giants have been good. The Washington, not saying Washington's been great, but like you play the Eagles, you play in the NFC, you play tough games. You're the Dallas Cowboys. Teams want to come in and beat you in your place. And he's been able to win. Playoffs, not necessarily. That could be a quarterback issue. That could be a coaching issue. But when you're winning games in the regular season, you're a good coach. Why do we not regard Mike McCarthy as a good coach? Why do we say Mike Tomlin? And now the Mike Tomlin narrative is getting pretty bad. I think people are starting to turn on Mike Tomlin. But why was Mike Tomlin this elite coach winning 9 games a year and losing in the playoffs when Mike McCarthy is winning 12 games and maybe not winning in the playoffs? Is just because he's the Dallas Cowboys head coach? So we have these different standards for different coaches.
Deion Sanders to the Cowboys, Tanner. What do you think of it?
Train wreck. I think it could be the biggest. I think it could be the biggest mistake in. With a caveat, we don't know what he's going to do in the NFL. But I think he's a legend of the game. He's coached in college, though. It's hard to make the transition from college to the NFL, no matter if you're a seasoned coach or not. You have to coach the players differently. Also, NIL, hell of a coach. But NIL has helped Colorado get to where they need to be. I also think Shadur and, Travis Hunter.
The 2 best players in college football
are on your team. So that also helps move you up. I mean, he's done amazing things at Colorado, but I don't know if it translates to the NFL. And you're taking a massive risk if he does not turn out to be the guy, because 1, you're going to tarnish the Cowboys' reputation with him. You might have to fire him eventually. 2, he's never coached in the NFL. Like that's my biggest problem. And now we're going to give him a head coaching job in the NFL. So I love Deion. It could work, but I think it's more likely to be a mistake than work.
I'm right on there with you. I love Deion as well. Want to make that very clear. I've supported him in his Colorado job. I've supported him as a media personality. I think he's just a very cool dude. And he's somebody, he would be able to walk into a locker room, whether it's 18-year-olds, whether it's a 35-year-old with a family. He can walk in there. He can demand the respect of them. He can make friends with everybody. That's not the question here. Deion Sanders, the coach at Colorado, like you said, turn around their NIL program. He also just had such a gravity about him as a person that he was able to attract recruits and transfers. And in college, once you get to the top level, like the final 4 of the college football playoff, then it's X's and O's. For most of the season, it's Jimmy's and Joe's. Do you have the guys or do you not? Colorado wasn't getting anybody to come to their school before. All of a sudden, when you get these former 5-star transfers, and like we said, you had the 2 best players in the sport. Shadur had the best quarterback season probably. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. You had those guys there. You saw the team improve. I don't really know what Deion did from a schematic perspective. I wasn't blown away by their offense or their defense. Their best defensive moments came with Warren Sapp on the team, and you saw the defensive line improve. So I think there's a direct correlation there. Some of his clock management decisions were awful. He was stat padding for Shador in a couple of instances. I don't see him as a great tactical coach. I think he's a cool leader, but I don't think he would be able to scheme up the best offense or defense on the clipboard. I don't see him coming up with a defense to stop Kevin O'Connell. I don't see him coming up with a defense to stop Sean McVay. I don't see him designing an offense that gets past what the Chiefs are doing in the Super Bowl. So I'm with you. I think it would be fun to talk about, but I think there's a very strong likelihood it ends pretty poorly.
He just strikes me as a college head coach. Like that's my biggest thing. And he's never coached in the NFL. That's a concern. And he doesn't have the coaching tree as the background. He got the job at Jackson State. He went to Colorado, and now he's going to go to the NFL. He can do it. Don't get me wrong. But I just look at him like he is going to be an elite college head coach. He's a leader and he cultivates men, right? I don't know how it works when we get to the NFL and it's solely about the X's and the O's in football and all that stuff. More like with college, kids want to play for him. They gravitate towards him. I don't know if that's going to be the case in the NFL, especially like when you are looking for a head coach, when you're trying to replace a head coach who's winning 12 games a year and doing everything right, you got to be sure about the pick. And if it could be a great decision, it could also be a franchise altering decision because it's hard enough to win with Jerry Jones as your GM as it is. Now, with Deion, though, maybe he has that special connection with him where that is the secret sauce and that's going to work out. I think there's just a lot more opportunity for failure than success.
And kind of keep in mind here too, Colorado didn't play really any meaningful games. So not only is he unproven in the NFL, he's unproven in college to a certain extent. Yeah, we saw the improvement, but we didn't see an ability to win the big games. Colorado, at a point where they were 8-2, controlled their destiny as far as getting to the Big Ten Conference Championship game. They lose as a 3-point favorite at a neutral venue to Kansas, who entered that game 4-6. They lost 37-21. And then they go to the bowl game. And Deion was very clear. My whole team, aside from guys that have committed elsewhere, my whole team is playing. Nobody's sitting out. Shador, Travis Hunter, they're not protecting their pro draft stock. They are playing. And they lost 36-14 to BYU. They got slaughtered.
Yes.
So no big wins in Colorado either.
No. But with that being said, I just think overall, I'm always going to say a college coach probably has a better chance of not making it in the NFL because it's a totally different ball game. We've seen it time and time again. How many coaches have gone successfully from a college head coach to an NFL head coach? Jim Harbaugh?
I mean, there are some, obviously, but
there's not many, though.
No, the jury's out for the most part.
Yeah. So, and we hear coaches talk about it. It's such a different game. And we're going to see if Bill Belichick's able to go from the NFL to college. I think that's a better move because he knows what it's like in the NFL and he can create that environment in college. NFL is the pinnacle. If you can coach in the NFL, we know the X's and O's are going to be fine in college. Now, relating to the kids, that's a different story. We'll see if that can be the case. But I just have my fears with the Deion thing. I think it would be really good for the Cowboys. I think it would draw a lot of interest. It could fade pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, like you said, going from the NFL to college is much easier. NFL's the best. You're up there. Bill O'Brien was viewed as some outdated guy who just needed to go. His time was up. And he goes from the Patriots to Alabama, and Bama starts cruising,
Bill O'Brien's just a great coach, I would say. Like, and again, the Texans, he was successful with the Texans at times.
Yep.
Like he had decent stretches there, and he's turned BC around. Like he's just a really good football coach. But I think when we look at Bill O'Brien, we think of him more as the college head coach, like flipping Penn State, getting them out of the sanctions, and then like taking BC now. And like I look at him as just a really good football coach, but I also think he's more successful in college than he is in the NFL, even though he was successful in the NFL.
Do we have any? I know we talked about the previews. We're saving our picks for the next show, but we got anything else here we want to go over?
I want an early Super Bowl pick from you, Grant. I want an early Super Bowl matchup. What you're feeling right now. That's what will conclude the show.
Are you saying my actual pick or like my betting value pick?
No, not betting value. Like what matchup are you feeling? Just looking at the matchups on the board right now. Do the Chiefs get back? Do the Lions get there? Like, are we going to see the chalk getting in the Super Bowl as most people think?
So for a long time, I was taking the Eagles to beat the Lions. Jalen Hurts, the way that whole situation's going. I don't think it's happening. The Lions, the injuries scared me for a while, but you know what? They found ways to win games. They destroyed the Vikings, so they earned my respect there. I mean, it would be great if Washington beat the Lions, and at that point, you know what? I don't care. I'm taking them to win the NFC Championship game, but no, I'll take the Lions out there. And then I've got to be honest, like I want to say the Bills or the Ravens will beat the Chiefs because they've been better all year. And Lamar played at so did Josh Allen, but much higher level than Patrick Mahomes. If you go back for the last couple of years in the regular season, Lamar has been well ahead of Mahomes there as well. He hasn't sustained that into the postseason. So this is the question. Is Lamar finally going to turn around? He looked really good in that first game against Pittsburgh. I still have to go with the Chiefs. If I have more confidence in Lamar and the Ravens beating the Chiefs than I do Josh Allen and the Bills. Obviously, those two teams are playing each other this weekend, so kind of got to wait and see. But if Baltimore wins, Lamar has like 3 or 4 touchdowns and is really good, then I would say there's a solid chance I would take the Ravens and say they finally get over the hump.
I don't think I would ever go against the Chiefs, but if there's a year where the Chiefs are going to get knocked off, it would probably be this year because no one's ever won 3 in a row. But the crazy thing is with the Chiefs, they're the most underrated, I'm going to say one-loss football team because I'm not going to count week 18, but they're the most underrated one-loss football team I think we've ever seen. People are saying, well, they won all these games, these tight games. And I can kind of go back to like making the case, I feel like, for the Celtics now. Like January doesn't necessarily matter. Where September, October for the Chiefs, yeah, it matters. Every week matters in the NFL more than an 82-game season. But nobody is better at winning in the playoffs than the Chiefs. And I think we see that come out time and time again. And to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, you need to be flawless. You cannot kick field goals. You cannot turn the ball over, and you not have penalties. If teams do that, they can win, but I just don't necessarily see it happening for the Bills or the Ravens. I think the Ravens beat the Bills this weekend. We'll talk about that Thursday. But if it's Lamar or Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, I think you have to take Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you have to. And it's not going to work out every season, but I mean, Mahomes has been a quarterback for what? This is his 7th year, so he's played 6 seasons and he's got 3 Super Bowls already. If we're just
championships too.
Yeah. So if you just go down the line and you say you've got a 50% chance of being right if you take the Chiefs, then how do you not take them?
And also too, I think when you look at like Jackson and you look at Allen and you when you look at these quarterbacks and you say, well, they've never beaten, like they've beaten him. Like Allen owns Mahomes in the regular season, but to ask this quarterback to go on the road and win a football game in the playoffs, and he's never been able to do it, and he had him at home last year. I know they're professional athletes, but do they really believe they can go in there and win that game? Like tonight's the night? I don't know.
It's good for Buffalo. They beat them in the regular season this year. That helps. It definitely does help because you're still telling yourself, we just beat them. We can do it again. It's better than having not seen them for the last however many years.
It is. But I still think we're getting Lions Chiefs. If we don't, I would think it's Lions Ravens.
Same.
That was my 2 matchups right now. I think if the Chiefs get to the Super Bowl, they will win the Super Bowl. I don't think the Lions will beat them, even though they're going to be favored and going to be a better team, just because when you look at the Chiefs and you look at Andy Reid in the Super Bowl, I think the coaching, the experience, it's all going to play into effect. And it's going to be like the Niners game last year. There's going to be moments where it looks like San Francisco wins the game and then the Chiefs just find a way. And then after that, no more Super Bowls. Then the three-peat. No team's ever done it. NFL wants that to happen. Get the Taylor Swift merch selling and then get rid of the Chiefs.
Yeah, I've just put a bow on this. You said it. The Chiefs are the most disrespected one-loss team ever. They were underdogs in the Super Bowl last year against Mr. Irrelevant in his first full season. It's just disrespectful. I understand we get bored of greatness, but you just cannot discount the Chiefs. You can't put them to the side. They are the gold standard. You should always be picking them.
Yes. All right, Grant, take us out of here. Thursday picks. Make sure you guys tune in.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Like Tanner said, we'll be back here on Thursday giving all of our picks for the NFL playoffs. And pretty soon we're going to be talking about the college football playoff championship game as well. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Check out WSN.com for any and everything related to sports betting. We will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.